few very quick thoughts on the UFC on Fox 5 event. First of all, apologies for the fact that you can probably hear that Toby the Canary is still indoors and he's still liable to make quite a lot of noise. I don't usually do now recap videos except for the actual numbered events, but I'm going to make an exception with this one because there's quite a bit to say. First of all, the bout that was cancelled between Michael Chiesa and Marcus Leveso was actually changed. So Abel Trujillo, who was going to be fighting Tim Means, ended up fighting Marcus instead, and Michael and Tim Means were not involved. So that was the first sort of shock. I don't know when that happened. That must have happened extremely close to the event, but there we are. I want to say that the fight between Albert and Jorgensen proved to me why Jorgensen, should be further up the card, and hopefully he now goes on to do much better. Having said all that, it will be a great shame if they get rid of Albert over this, because I do believe this is now 3 in a row that he's lost. There was some talk about his second loss being... see what I mean? The second loss being a bit controversial. And what happened was he submitted about a second before the end of the round, and until then he'd been doing extremely well. He was moving very well and he was doing lots and lots of submission attempts. The one problem that I saw quite early on, and I think this was basically what led to his demise, was that in his movements he did have a tendency to sort of move around a bit, and he would twist, and I could see that the back was in danger of being sort of shown to his opponent, and that's always a bad move, and he did it 3 or 4 times whilst he was sort of spinning around doing his own submission attempts. And when he did that right at the end, that's when he got that's when Scott Jorgensen actually got his back, and that's what led to the RNC. It is a shame that he didn't hold on for just 1 more second, but there we are. Hopefully they will give him another chance. Let's move on then. The match with Asan KO. I didn't see an eye poke at all, so I don't know what the talk about all that is. I did see the illegal low blow, and I have to say, although it didn't look deliberate, good on the referee for saying, well, we're going to deduct a point anyway, because, to be totally honest, even if it's an accident, it's still something that shouldn't be done. Having said that, Asan KO still won the decision, so, I'm sort of pleased. I'm pleased, really, because everything that I thought should have happened in terms of that low blow did, and the person I wanted to win, I do apologise, still did. The match between Edwards and Stevenson, I do wish that it had gone on longer. Fantastic though it was for Edwards, unfortunately I thought Stevenson would win, but there we are. It was disappointingly short for me. I'd have liked to see that sort of thing happen in the 2nd or 3rd round. Now, Mike Swick, I did say that this, he'd been out a long time, he'd won his first match back, and I said, we wanted to see if he could do it again before saying that he's actually back, so to speak. He went and spoilt things by talking an awful lot of smack before the match went on, and I did say, a year and a half ago, perhaps I would have said that, Matt Brown would be easy to beat, but now I wasn't so sure. It's funny because the first round was a lot of ground fighting, in which Matt Brown certainly got the better, and the second round was mainly all striking, in which Matt Brown still got the better, and eventually got the knockout. So, you know, perhaps that will teach Swick, you know, to talk less smack, I don't know, but he was heading for it. I had hoped that the experience of Swick would sort of, you know, overcome here, but there we are. Finally, the match with Penn and MacDonald. Do you know, the one thing that I think should have happened in this match, in the first round, very, very quickly, is Penn should have gone to the ground, and it should have been a ground war. You know, the fact that they were still on their feet all the way through, I think was it's a little late by the middle of the second round for Penn to be going to the ground, having absorbed all the punishment that he did. So by the time in the third round that MacDonald was actually taking him down, well, you know, it's a thing that can't be capitalised on. I would have thought that Penn would have played this on the ground rather than on the feet, and of course he lost by decision in the end. You know, I imagine he'll go back into retirement now, and, you know, we'll wait until the next time he gets called out. MacDonald didn't finish, and I didn't think he would, but that all that was missing in that fight was for him to actually get a finish on the feet, and then I think it would have been he would have been the talk of the town, rather than well, yes, okay, he got a decision over an old BJ Penn, blah, blah, blah. I think if he'd have got the actual finish, it would have been, oh my goodness, he finished a legend, that sort of thing. So for that reason, I'm not going to make him my fighter of the card. The fighter of the card, for me, is going to be Benson Henderson. I would have liked to see in that match Henderson do more to try and finish. The last round there was a lot of ground and pound, but I would have liked to see him actually try to finish earlier on rather than just control. You know, Nathan Diaz was getting very frustrated, and the fingers started flying by the middle of the fight, when it was quite obvious that actually, you know, he just wasn't going to be. And that was my worry. And I did say in the end that the reason that I went for Benson Henderson was because if Nathan Diaz couldn't submit him in the first or second round, it was just going to go on. I could see this coming a mile away. But I thought Henderson was impressive nonetheless. You know, he now has to make sure that the fights stay exciting, not just because of the challenger, and that he puts maybe a little bit more effort into actually finishing the fight earlier on, rather than, you know, rather than not. So that is my recap video for UFC on Fox 5.